This review will have spoilers ahead, so if you are wanting to have a spoiler-free experience, I suggest you click away now from the video. Black Myth Wukong is a single-player ARPG action role-playing game for those who don't know, and published by the Chinese studio Game Science. The game was released on the 20th of August 2024 for PC and PlayStation 5. It quickly became one of the most successful game launches of 2024, earning widespread praise for its stunning visuals, cinematic boss battles, and faithful adaptation of Chinese mythology. So before we get into the actual review, let's get into a little bit of the story about what Black Myth Wukong actually is and how the story progressed and transpired into what it is today. So it was inspired by the 16th century Chinese novel Journey to the West, and the story takes place after the legendary pilgrimage of the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. Rather than playing as Wukong himself, however, the players assume the role of the Destined One, a mysterious monkey warrior tasked with uncovering the truth behind Wukong's legacy. And as the adventure unfolds, the player journeys across ancient forests, frozen mountains, haunted temples, and celestial realms, facing powerful Yaoguai, or demons, mythical beasts, and fallen deities in search of the 6 sacred relics connected to the Great Sage. And those relics are in the forms of ears, eyes, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The game begins where the original folklore tradition concludes. Sun Wukong ascends to Buddhahood, but quickly rejects the strict manipulative rules of the Celestial Court to live peacefully on Mount Huaguo. Suspicious of his independence, the heavens send an army led by Erlang Shen, who is very important to the game later on, to subdue him. During this clash, Wukong realizes the cursed headband he wore during his pilgrimage is in fact still intact, secretly suppressing his true power and will. And betrayed and overwhelmed, Wukong is seemingly killed, his body turning to stone and his soul fracturing into those 6 relics, which scatter across the realms. That's where you come in, the Destined One, a monkey born from a rock, embarking on a quest to recover the relics and restore the Monkey King. And during that secret ending, if you do gather all 6 relics, re-fight Erlang Shen, who I said is very important to the game, and explore the hidden areas, you unlock a memory, revealing that Wukong actually orchestrated the entire journey. He manipulated the heavens into destroying his old body, so the Destined One could be born free of the cursed headband. Wukong's spirit transfers into the Destined One, freeing him to rebel against the Celestial Court once more. So how does the game actually play? Unlike traditional Soulsborne games or Souls-like games, Black Myth Wukong typically leans more towards a hack and slash, which I personally have never really played before. I think more along the lines of Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Rising. In comparison to things like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and Sekiro, it carves out its own identity, has a much greater emphasis on movement and intentional inputs. The combat itself is undoubtedly the game's greatest strength. Players wield the Jingguabang, and you'll have to excuse my pronunciations on this, the Monkey King staff, using a combination of light attacks, heavy attacks, dodges, and different weapon forms, or stances as they're actually called in the game. And there are 3 stances which the game can master. You have the Smash stance, a balanced style focused on powerful overhead attacks capable of staggering, Pillar stance allowing the players to vault onto the end of the staff, avoiding ground attacks while delivering crushing blows from above, and the Thrust stance, which prioritizes speed, precision, and long-range poking attacks, making it effective against agile opponents. Learning when to swap between them becomes increasingly important during later boss fights. I myself, however, as you'll see in the gameplay, only really focused on Smash stance. I forgot about the other 2 stances and I went whole hog into Smash stance. I don't even think I put a single spark into any other stance aside from Smash, just because I felt that Smash was the perfect playstyle for me. I liked the rapid attacks, I liked the combos, and I really enjoyed the heavy attacks when you had your full build focus. They did so much damage, and the healing, wonderful. Talking of healing, it wouldn't be a true Souls-like hack and slash, cousin, relative, if it wasn't for the healing gourd, which of course, like your Estus Flask in Dark Souls, you can upgrade your gourd, which obviously increases the healing done, and similar to Elden Ring with your Wondrous Flask is you can add on what's called soaks, and those soaks provide different benefits: reduce damage, resistance increase, defense, or whether it's just a bit of extra healing upon you're using your gourd. Whatever it may be, different soaks work for different folks. And unlike many other action RPGs, the combat extends far beyond melee attacks. Throughout the adventure, we unlock expanded collections of mystical abilities inspired directly by Journey of the West, which was actually incredibly interesting. Spells included Immobilization, which stuns your enemies in place. That is the one that I used the most throughout my playthrough, I believe. There is another one called Pluck of the Many, which creates magical clones to overwhelm your opponents, and enhancing attacks such as Ring of Fire with elemental abilities, and temporarily becoming nearly invulnerable during certain techniques, i.e. Rock Solid, which I also tended to lean towards the end of the game. Mana management therefore becomes an important strategic element, and I personally relied heavily on my mana. Some people will call that cheating. I personally just used the game's resources to my advantage. I would say one of the game's most distinctive mechanics, taking it apart from all the other Souls-like and hack and slashes, is its transformations. After defeating certain enemies, you get what's called a transformation, and you gain the ability to temporarily transform into them, which I think is really cool and really unique. These transformations function almost like an additional health bar, allowing the player to dramatically alter the flow of the battle while showcasing the incredible variety of creatures found throughout the game. The transformation that I tended to use throughout my playthrough was actually the one you receive at the beginning of the game, the Red Tides, which you actually collect from the Wolf Guy, one of the first bosses you fight in the game. I liked his mobility, I liked the burn damage, I felt like he had the best overall damage as far as all the other ones I had. Now, your transformations are not to be confused with spirits. Spirits are summons that you can summon, funnily enough, using Ki, which is another resource which you can charge via spinning staff attacks, specific gourd soaks, and other items which help increase. There are certain builds for Ki charge, which I ended up using against my fight for Erlang, which took me a long time. And in fact, I actually didn't know about the staff spinning until someone told me about 30 hours into my playthrough. The spirit that I tended to use the most for my transformation was the optional Yao Guai chief located in Chapter 4, the Commander Beetle. He doesn't really provide anything aside from a rapid attack, defense, aside from poison, I believe, and honestly, I felt like he was the best one for me. Another one that I did tend to lean towards was the Abramana Bat, which deals heavy frost damage and freezes bosses. What that allows is the opportunity to gain as much damage in such a small space of time, and paired with the vessel, the Fan, you can then charge your Ki very quickly, which is what enables you to be able to use your transformations and your vessels. So Sun Wukong at the beginning of the game is depicted as an arrogant young monkey who believes he's better than everybody and everything around him. In heavy contrast to your protagonist that you play as, the Destined One, who is mute. He's a silent protagonist, which gives the player the ability to give their own opinions and put themselves in the shoes of the protagonists themselves. One of the biggest companions that you have throughout the game, which I don't believe you meet until Chapter 3, was Vajie. Vajie was my favourite character in the game. He mainly provided a lot of comic relief, and while he was the cocky sidekick to the protagonist, he did have a serious side to him, and there was a very emotional scene during the end of Chapter 4 / the beginning of Chapter 5, which actually did get me all heartfelt, and I did feel sorry for my little piggy. But I will say that he was very well acted. I loved him, and he was actually in Joe the Monkey King back in the 1970s or the 1980s, I believe. Wielding a rake, he is a healer as well as a pretty poor companion when it comes to fighting. However, he does become one of your antagonists later on. He becomes a boss fight, but for me that was a very challenging boss fight, and I did actually hold some emotional value to Vajie. The world itself was incredible, with vast landscapes and incredible designs. You know, it really channeled the ancient Chinese artistry, and again, for Game Science's first proper AAA game, it was absolutely phenomenal. The music, I was so engaged throughout the whole story. Everything about it, the voice acting, the music, the visuals, the abilities, everything was wonderful. And I would say the most memorable environment for me, mainly because I have a heavy fear of spiders, was Chapter 4. It was horrific for me to play into. You can see in the gameplay here that I was squeamish. I couldn't actually progress through the first boss fight. It took me a while to get my courage together, but because the characters and the design was that well done, it actually made me uncomfortable, but I was so eager to push through this game. Now, going into a technical performance, I would say there's not really much to say aside from how incredible everything you need to do is intentional. I did, however, have a few frame rate issues with my stream. I did have a few optimization optimization issues. I don't have a terrible system. I do have 32 gig of RAM. I am on DDR4 still, and I do have a 3060 with 12 gig. Even that, including my 5600X, it was struggling at times. My system was running incredibly warm, and at times my GPU was pulling 98%. We repasted it, and it probably dropped it down to 94. 60 FPS, this game is completely non-negotiable, considering how intentional the inputs have to be and how precise you have to be for those perfect dodges. It's not like Dark Souls where you get your iframes, you have to be precise. I had one crash throughout the entire time that I played, and I was playing this game for a good between 40 and 60 hours, and that was to get the true ending of the game. Now, is it a one and done, or is there any replayability? Well, I'm pleased to tell you that Black Myth Wukong is absolutely a game that you should replay. As like any other Soulsborne, there is New Game Plus, which is a huge bonus for me because I got the true ending on my first playthrough, and after smashing my head against the final secret boss for 5 hours, I have never felt more achieved and more overwhelmed with pride than when I actually finished this game. So much so that there were tears. I did cry during my playthrough, and I personally just couldn't tell you how good this game actually is. Me personally, I loved Elden Ring and Sekiro. I did. I've always been a Soulsborne enjoyer, but for me, Black Myth Wukong stands out. It's well beyond any other Souls-like or hack and slash that I've ever played, which I've not played many, to be fair. But my personal verdict, final last few minutes, I would say that Black Myth Wukong is not a great entry game for new players. Players who have played things like Elden Ring, Wu Chang, and Sekiro, I would say definitely come into Black Myth Wukong, but just make sure that your playstyle is intentional. Spamming things does not work in this game. I found that myself. And if you do want to give yourself a challenge, why not? Was it worth the money? Absolutely. And I'm devastated that it took me 2 years to play. I would say this game was easily a 9.8 out of 10. I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I did have one bug, which was where I had the Scorpion Lord disappear, which is an optional boss in chapter 4. He disappeared on me on a few occasions. I can overlook that. Everything else, it stands out to me in every single way, and I would 100% like you to give it the opportunity for yourself. Thank you very much for listening to my short review, my first review of Black Myth Wukong, my first review of any game actually, that being said, and I personally just feel as though it was my favorite game that I've played of 2026 so far. We do stream on Twitch 4 to 5 times a week on twitch.tv/mevolved. The link will be in the description. So if you would like to drop a follow, subscribe, like the video, and I do hope to see you very soon. Thank you.